Welcome back, Sports Card Culture Podcast number 25.
There you go. It is the Ricky Henderson, Barry Bonds podcast.
Barry Bonds was 25. I don't think I've ever thought about his number. It's weird. If someone had asked me what his number was, I couldn't even have guessed anything.
Let me ask something. I know you love Barry Bonds, and I know he's got Ricky beat on a lot of stuff, but who's a better baseball player?
Barry Bonds is.
Better baseball player.
Barry Bonds is a better baseball player. Ricky Henderson's top 10 players probably all time, maybe.
I like
Bonds,
I like Ricky a lot more.
My top three are really close, and different days I could argue any of them. Bonds, Ruth, and Willie Mays are my top three. And
I always
there's
have
certain
a problem
parts of each one
with old players. So if I didn't get to watch you play, so like basketball,
Ruth,
it's like, Wilt Chamberlain. I never saw him play. I don't know.
I saw Bonds play. So
I saw
of those
Bonds
three,
play.
I only saw Bonds play. Yeah.
So really, to be honest with you, with my top, I only go to like mid 80s because I can go back a little bit and watch enough film where like
there's YouTube clips where you could actually see footage.
I watched Rod Carew, so I had an opinion of Rod Carew, but anything before that it's kind of like Satchel Paige. I watched them tape, but I don't really know.
I really hope Barry Bonds gets in the Hall of Fame because he deserves to be.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
But who's your three best? For you, it would probably be 1990, since 90?
Since 90, since I remember watching. Griffey. I mean, do you want the bias?
Bonds.
Do you want the non-biased or the biased?
Well, no, what's your top three?
Probably Bonds, Griffey, and Molitor, but no one's going to like the Molitor.
Well, no, but be honest with yourself, though. It's not Molitor.
Molitor retired number 7 all time in hits. He was ahead of Derek Jeter.
Yeah,
he was number 7 all time in hits.
Better than A-Rod? Molitor was better than A-Rod?
He was a better average hitter than A-Rod. Not as much power, obviously.
But I mean, overall A-Rod beats Molitor.
Yeah, well, and keep in mind, Molitor won Gold Gloves, and had he not gotten hurt and had to move to DH, he probably would have got one more. He stole home his rookie year. I mean, the guy could do it all. I mean, he's very underappreciated for where he ranks in the all-time greats. But so for me, let's take Molitor out of it.
I mean, not.
I want to hear yours.
When you said bias, I was like, sure, bias. I didn't mean like Paul Molitor.
No, so Molitor would be my guy, but and obviously. No,
I'm talking the best baseball player. Yeah.
You're like, I'm not hearing it.
Not Paul Molitor.
Okay, so I'm gonna go Bonds, Griffey, Jeter.
Jeter? No, that's silly.
No, because it's more than just its clutch factor. He was the best clutch World Series hitter I've ever seen. Like, he had more home runs and clutch hits.
I don't put a ton of stock in postseason because otherwise that means Ernie Banks is a scrub.
Right. Well, no, I'll say this much. I don't think it disqualifies the guy like Trout who hasn't been in the playoffs, but a guy who goes to the playoffs and continues to do it, whereas a lot of guys just fall apart. Like, if you look at
A-Rod,
well, no, last year they were showing the stats of I'm sorry, this is basketball, but Chris Paul. If you look at Chris Paul's numbers in the playoffs, they absolutely fall apart. Like, he drops like 30% in scoring.
But at the same time, Chris Paul's career in general, a lot of people understate how good he's been.
He's probably a Hall of Famer.
Oh, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. My
I think
top
he's like
three, I think you sold me on. I never liked Bonds.
Yep.
So I never really followed him.
He's not most likable for sure.
And I think Bonds is probably best, then Griffey, and then probably Frank Thomas.
The big hurt. I
go Frank Thomas after that because now that I'm taking into account some injuries and stuff, but this is a guy who would hit 345, have 45 home runs and 120 RBI. Like,
now the one thing he didn't
here?
do that well, I don't think, was how good was he defensively? Was he
average?
He was average.
It doesn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Right? First baseman's fielding don't matter.
He never won a Gold Glove probably. Either,
no,
I mean, he was.
I don't know who was winning all the Gold Gloves in the 90s.
Jim Thome? I don't know.
Not Thome.
No. I'm just literally throwing that out there randomly.
Well, Gold Glove for first baseman it's kind of like a Gold Glove for a pitcher. Like Greg Maddux got them all. Maybe he was a good fielder, but who really cares?
Do you hear Maddox's quote? By the way, this jumps to mind on Facebook. I saw Maddox had a quote.
I saw exactly what you're gonna say.
Where he goes, they didn't need to bang on the drum or steal my sign because they knew it was coming. It was an 89 mile an hour sinker, and they couldn't touch it. I loved it.
No, what do you say?
And they wouldn't even swing. 82 mile
an hour sinker. The bat wouldn't even get out of it.
Yeah, it's like I'll tell you what's coming. It won't change it.
Well, this is actually an interesting. I didn't exactly plan it like this, but I'm talking about who's in the Hall of Fame, who's not. I told you I had something I want to start the podcast off with.
Yeah.
And it's from our last podcast.
Okay.
I am here to tell you, Dwight Howard is a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Absolute lock for the Hall of Fame. I listened to the playback, right? So I always do, just in case I say a swear and I gotta tell Evan to bleep it out. I've been very good with the no swears, so I'm very proud of myself. So I'm like,
and I think I was the one who.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up numbers and I'm gonna show you why Dwight Howard is a scrub that doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Listen to this.
Okay.
You brought up Alonzo Mourning. 14,300 points.
How many per game?
I don't know. I didn't put that down.
That matters.
Well,
total points does not matter as much because Jordan doesn't have as many points as Kareem.
Right, but they have
because Kareem-
similar career length.
Like you realize Jordan averaged like 30, and like there's guys who scored more than them that averaged quite a bit less because his career was actually pretty short when you figure out he sat out 2 years.
But these two, Mourning and Howard, have very similar lengths.
17 a game. Okay.
But listen to this.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Mourning 14,300.
Okay.
11, right?
Yeah.
19,052. He's got Mourning by 5,000 points. By the way, for you math people, that's a 33% increase, not a 25% increase. 33% increase.
Yep.
All right, rebound 7,137 for Mourning.
Yep.
7. Dwight Howard's got 14,201 rebounds. Double the rebounds. So for a center,
yeah, that's huge.
Scoring, rebounds. He's got them by 33%. He's got them by 100%. All right. So, okay.
That's actually very surprising. He has that many
How about this?
rebounds.
Assists. No, centers aren't about assists, but whatever. It's a stat. 946 for Mourning.
Okay.
1,632 for Dwight Howard.
I want to see how many years Alonzo Mourning played because it seems.
All right. Hold on.
Yep.
Now we go to a big center category, blocks.
Okay.
It's the only category where Mourning's beating Dwight Howard was 2,356.
Okay.
Guess what? Dwight Howard probably won't pass him, but he's only 175 behind him.
Wow.
And finally, Dwight Howard has 600 more steals. If Mourning's in the Hall of Fame, Dwight Howard's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. I had no idea.
Now Mourning is not yet in the Hall of Fame.
I thought he was in.
No, wait.
Yeah, he's in.
Oh,
He's
is
a Hall
he?
of
Okay.
Famer.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, you're right.
So that's what I'm saying. Mourning's the Hall of
So
Famer.
to give
Dwight
you
Howard's
the
Hall of
points per
Famer.
game, Mourning's at 17.1. Rebounds, he's at 8.5. Blocks, he's at 2.8. And Howard is at, 6. What's his average? Part of it is I don't have here. They haven't done the math.
So is this an issue of Dwight Howard not hurt as much, too?
I think it's an issue of a few more games. No, the rebounds is the big one. The rebounds is the most. Yeah, that one, there's just no.
If you're a center, rebounds is kind of a big deal.
17-8. So, I mean, 17-8.
Yeah.
Wow, so I'll say this much.
Wow.
Howard has played a lot more.
Oh, no, sorry. 16-12. That was this season. 17.
Yeah. So I'm just like, but what you said, longevity is a factor, which it is.
But
we're
factor
talking
in his favor,
total. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he should be.
I'm
And-
willing to admit when I'm wrong
and
because
he's-
I'm a bigger man.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And more, another thing for Dwight Howard, now this doesn't weigh as heavily as all that, is he won a dunk contest as a center.
He won a what?
A dunk contest.
Yeah.
Which there's not a lot
It's
of
kind of fun.
There's not a lot of centers who enter dunk contests because you have to do something pretty spectacular. But he actually what did he dunked on like a 12-foot hoop, right?
Yeah.
I mean he's unbelievable. Like
That one from free throw line.
Yeah, he raised. Yeah, he did the Superman deal.
Well,
wore
I'll
the
tell you
cape.
something else. One of the other things I mentioned in that was Christian Laettner.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. Mourning's only got 3,000 more points, only 1,300 more rebounds, has 1,000 less assists. He's got him in blocks, 1,800 more blocks, and Christian Laettner has twice as many steals. Christian Laettner is way better than people think he was. He's the number 3 pick, and he's supposed to save the franchise, and so everybody's like, he sucks. But you look at his career, he had a very good career. A very good career. I mean, I'm not saying he's the Hall of Famer. I never argued
Let me
that,
do
but
the bet. Who had a better career? Christian Laettner or Eddie Jones?
Christian Laettner, probably.
Who had a better career, Christian Leitner or Latrell Sprewell?
Probably Spree, I would say, because Spree had some big years.
How about Joe Smith or Leitner?
Leitner.
Leitner had a better career, you think, than Joe Smith?
Those
are both guys who people feel like were quote-unquote busts.
For the what?
But quote-unquote busts.
Yeah.
Like Joe Smith was absolute
Spree
number one
wasn't a
overall.
bust.
No, I guess he wasn't picked as high either. I was thinking more like other
top picks
Wolves top picks. Well, no, we didn't draft them all. Yeah,
I can try to about 30 that Christian Leitner was better than, but that's more of a.
But let me say this: I still think it is funny that Leitner got the nod on the Dream Team above Shaq. That was a robbery.
I believe he admits that was weird.
Yeah,
that didn't make any sense.
I know he was the National Player of the Year and Shaq wasn't, which is also weird.
I think a lot of that's the school he played for.
Yeah. They won the championship.
Shine.
Yeah.
And they did win.
And he hit the game winner, so good for him, he
But I mean we all were like, no. Shaq.
I actually feel like that shot specifically is what got him on the Dream Team. Don't
people still say it's the best shot in NCAA history?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I don't know anybody else. I don't know another shot that I know of that people are like, oh, that's the most amazing.
No,
shot.
There's only been a couple others to win, and there was one a few years ago by Villanova, and there's a pretty small list. Jordan had one.
No.
There's a little more time left. There's like 6 seconds, so they actually had a chance. But.
All right, so one of the things we're gonna do is, if you comment, we're gonna start front loading those comments because we want to reward people for commenting. So if you have a question for us, or if you have a comment, please put it down. We'll get right to it.
Love it.
For Woohoo had a question about, he was talking about how I was awesome and a great mind, and Bryce Harper was a lot better than you thought he was.
Obviously.
Then he started making fun of us for struggling with OPS. And so, OPS is not a number I track. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't care about it. I just don't. It's not a thing. I like OBP a lot.
I look at slugging first, I would say, even though
I understand slugging, to be honest with you, when I'm analyzing a player.
Well, because here's what's the problem is, a lot of times guys will have a lot of RBIs in a good lineup, and another guy will have less RBIs outside of a good lineup.
Yeah.
And the slugging is what tells you his bases per at bat versus.
But card wise and fantasy wise, who cares?
You should care.
You get points for RBIs, and card wise, people look at RBIs.
Yeah, but we should be a little bit more nuanced, I think, in how we're evaluating players.
But understand what we're doing here on the show and with cards. We're not trying to build a World Series team. We're trying to figure out what cards are going to go up in value.
Yep. And guys who hit home runs, whether solo or grand slams, go up the most.
And so like in fantasy and in cards, slugging isn't a category, and neither is OPS, so it's not something I look at because it doesn't help me with cards.
It doesn't get to the bottom line like the other ones do.
Because all that matters is what the general public thinks, and that's cards. Yep. And then you don't track slugging unless you're in some weird league.
But let me say this: how do you feel like the Moneyball analytics, sabermetrics are now affecting cards?
I think
WAR
is a big one. I think especially for like Trout, he's so far ahead, and a lot of that's because of fielding. Mm-hmm. But people are looking at it like he is so far.
And it factors your position in versus just you can't compare Mike Trout with Frank Thomas.
You can't
positionally.
He gets so many points on WAR because he's in center field.
Yep. And he plays center field so well, where there's been a lot of other guys who played center. Like, I would be curious to look up Griffey's
You could be an error. I don't know if this is true, but I got to assume if you're an error-free first baseman, I don't think it moves your WAR up all that much.
Right. Because you actually need to be saving runs defensively to move the needle. And
error just means you lost a run, or you potentially lost a run, not saved anything.
So, sorry for interrupting.
So he's making fun of us, right? So... but he had a question for you.
Okay.
Not sports card related, but with something we've talked about and touched on. For Clint, what cryptocurrencies are you buying and selling lately? I'm a big fan of crypto as well.
Wow, great question.
Have you been buying crypto?
Yeah, yes. I'm up $3,000 today on Ethereum. I saw. So I am buying. I'll define it this way. I'm buying Ethereum long term as a hold.
Okay.
I'm in and out of Dogecoin and capitalizing on some of the crazy. Yep, kind of day trading that. And I also think Bitcoin's not a bad long-term investment. But I think Ethereum. And this is a psychological thing. I was talking with a customer about this. This is true in stocks. Tell me, John, if this has been your experience. A company will split their shares. They'll go from $1,000. They'll give a 5 to 1. All of a sudden, now they're $200.
Make it more affordable.
And people will think it's a better value when in reality the market share has changed nothing. The market cap of the company is exactly the same, whether you buy 1 for $1,000 or 5 for $200. But you feel like you're getting more, but you're not.
So
really.
The fast and dirty way of looking at a stock long term is you can look at those splits.
Yep.
Because if something splits like 40 times, that means that price kept getting into unaffordable status.
Unaffordable.
So you can go, oh yeah, it split 20 times. That stock's been growing like crazy. But because it split. So let's say they split around 100, and they always want to be around 20.
Yep.
But split 10 times in 10 years. I mean, that means it went up to 100 like 10 times, right?
Right.
You know, and after you split it, it went up to 100 again.
And let me ask you this question. Now, though, with like Robinhood and some of these apps, they allow you to buy fractional shares. So is it even a benefit for the company to split?
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
We'll have to see.
Because it used to be you could only buy an actual share.
Right.
You couldn't buy like a third. Now you can buy whatever percentage
and
you want.
really, you really almost had to buy almost 100 share blocks at one point. Like in the real early days of electronic trading, you could buy
You had to call your
under
broker.
100, but then like it was weird.
Well, then you think about like Warren Buffett, like Berkshire Hathaway A is like 300,000. So then they created the B that was like
the baby shares.
The baby shares, which so that's one way to do it. But back to your question.
So anyway,
yeah.
but you're 100% correct. If the 100 is split by 10 and it's 10, market cap hasn't changed.
Market cap hasn't changed, but you buy more and you feel. So here's how I'm connecting this to crypto.
Shares.
So crypto right now, Ethereum is at as we speak. It's actually traded all day, every day. So it's actually
is it
moving.
really 24 hours?
Yeah, it's moving right now. It's at 3,400 a coin, 3,466. I bought it at 2,700 a coin.
How long ago?
2 weeks or week and a
wow,
half or
you
something.
have a
So I'm up like 2,700. I think the long-term play, Ethereum. So Ethereum could get to Bitcoin levels because like right now Bitcoin's 57,000 a coin.
Yeah.
So like it's in that like we're exactly talking about. It's in that kind of unaffordable range. Like, well, do I want point?
Can you buy fractions?
Yeah, you can.
Oh,
yeah.
Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, okay.
But I feel like people are like, well, I could actually buy 3 whole coins of Ethereum. And who knows? In 2 years, 3 years, it could be a $20,000 coin.
So we've had our discussions about crypto,
yes.
And I don't understand. I understand it, but I'm hesitant on it because one of the things I don't like is when people say, "Well, it's not fiat money." Of course, it's fiat. It's everything is a group of people who have faith that it has value.
Right.
And baseball cards are fiat. Gold is fiat. Everything's fiat. Right.
Yep.
Now I do understand it where gold is a material asset as well as baseball cards are a material asset and it exists in the world. But a bunch of people fall out of favor.
Yep. And
all of a sudden the price goes down. My biggest problem with it, and we had a long conversation on the way back from Eau Claire about this, where so if everything's fiat, I understand the benefits of crypto in general.
Yep.
And what I don't like, it's funny because I say I don't like the fact that it goes up in value. Because money shouldn't go up or down, even though it does.
Yep.
And there is no other money that doesn't go up or down. All money goes up and down.
Yep.
But I don't understand why if I buy something for 100 and all of a sudden it's worth 1,000 the next day, that's great, but that's not money.
Right.
Because money is, and I use this example all the time, money is if I work an hour and my hour of work is worth a candy bar, and I don't want the candy bar right now, the best kind of money would be I exchange it for whatever currency, and then in 20 years I can buy the same exact candy bar for that coin, that dollar, that whatever.
Yep.
That's money. Now, we do know that the U.S. dollar loses value over time, and so obviously I'm not arguing that U.S. dollar is great, but it does keep a predictable, relatively predictable depreciation over the long term. Now, I think we're already seeing massive inflation right now, so especially commodities.
So understand. I totally agree with everything you're saying there.
But it's just an issue I don't really understand.
Did I share with you my best description that I've heard someone else give as to what cryptocurrency is and why it's valuable? Did we share this on the podcast? I'm trying to remember.
No, did we not?
Okay.
I don't think we dived
So
into
I'll do
crypto.
a real quick 1 minute synopsis of it. Is similar to gold. What makes gold valuable is its rarity.
Yeah.
All right.
Desirability.
The desirability. One of the things that makes it desirable is it's not everywhere. It's not sprinkled on the ground. You actually have to work to get it, right?
Utility to it.
There's utility to it, but it's also the difficulty to which it's obtained.
Right.
That similar to like a Michael Jordan 1 of 1. That it's difficult to obtain because it's costly to obtain because there's very little of it, right?
Flair rookie is difficult to obtain because there's only so many.
There's only so many. So cryptocurrency is essentially internet gold.
Yeah.
So there's a limited amount of it in Bitcoin, right?
And it runs out. It's going to run out eventually.
It's going to run out eventually. Well, I don't know the scheduling for how they're releasing more, but it basically has this constant half-life.
Yeah. And then over time, it gets harder and harder to get one coin if you're mining it.
And the mining of it it's costly, and so the coin has to be worth something in order for someone to do that, right? So it's got this interesting relationship on the mining side. Now, most people don't worry about the mining side because that's confusing or whatever. It's like why is this a reservoir of value?
You gotta mine real gold.
And this is no different than the internet. The internet is like if you were going to put a monetary value on the internet, as an entity, it's not intrinsic. I can't hold it. No, it's not an intrinsic asset, but it has tremendous value.
My eBay account's worth $15,000.
And so this kind of thinking helps, I think, people understand why cryptocurrency is valuable. We're moving digital.
Yeah.
There's going to be companies that so recognize they already are. Mark Cuban, they're accepting, I want to say, Ethereum, Bitcoin at their games for tickets, all this stuff. We're literally in the future, you'll literally have a wallet where you exchange this limited amount, very difficult, very valuable asset. I think now let's pause for a second. The actual blockchain technology itself, I don't understand I don't understand it, but
I understand that a little better than I understand why people are using
that in and of itself though is incredibly valuable because it's basically unstealable. What is it? 177 digit number.
Right.
I mean, it's like you can't. It would be easier.
Well, let's be clear. We can. People will find a way to steal anything.
It'll be very difficult. I'll say this much: it'd be easier for you to walk into a Wells Fargo and break into their vault than it would be for you to steal Bitcoin.
Well, the part that I like about crypto is the fact that no governments control it. Yes. I'm down with that aspect.
Well, and you realize why it's so popular. Like, for any IRS agents listening, I'm not authorizing anything I'm saying here, but cryptocurrency is
free speech. You can say whatever you want.
It's a huge tax shield. It's a huge opportunity for people to launder, hide, not. Because, for example,
I think that's one of the reasons why it's gone up in value so much. I mean, that's for sure.
So here's one thing that's happening. I actually had a guy 2 months ago offer to buy some cards from me at the show with crypto. Here's the crazy part, John. If I would have taken $10,000 in crypto, it's not even on the books. There's no transaction of sale. Well, now, but what do I do with it? So, like, part of the question has become how do
but it's still the same problem you have with cash. I mean, you can. You see, I like to watch those drug dealer documentaries.
Oh, fun!
And it's just like you got to buy stuff. You can't do anything legitimate with it unless you launder it.
Yeah.
And so it's the laundering part that trip people up.
Yep.
So anybody who's like, oh, I could. Because one of the things I said to you many times was I've taken a lot of accounting courses. I was 4 classes away from taking the CPA, and I'm still 4 classes away after the baby was born.
Nice.
And but accounting class is basically how to steal.
Yeah.
Or not how to steal, how to
launder money.
How to launder money? Because you would go like, well, how come you don't do it this way? Well, if you do it that way, then they can't see. I'm like, oh, okay. And so after you ask like 100 questions over 15 classes, you're like, oh, okay.
They're telling you how not to.
Right, they're telling you how you have to do it so that everybody can see what's happening, but they're also teaching you how to do it so that nobody can see what's happening or to hide what's happening.
So the benefit to cryptocurrency above cash is, so the benefit to cash, like you're saying, everything you just said about cash, there's benefits. The one downside is I can't make a cash transaction with someone geographically located on the other side of the world unless I have cryptocurrency.
Right. That's a big benefit.
Unless I have. So cryptocurrency is to the internet what cash is to the in-person transaction.
Yeah.
It's the non-formal. It's not PayPal.
Right.
It's not Venmo. It's not.
I would put it this way. This is it's going to sound weird again, but if Bitcoin started out at $1 per coin, right, and it was at $1.35 right now, I'd probably buy a bunch of it.
Yeah.
Because I like the utility of it.
Yep.
But the fact that it's so high, I'm like, and then it's going to go up to 100,000. Okay, but that's not money.
Yeah.
Because if it can go up that high, it can also lose.
Yeah, but you don't have to ride it that high.
No, but what I'm saying is, I just want it to be money.
Like, to be honest, I'll just tell you this. So when we were down in Iowa, everybody will remember, John and I went to Iowa for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
At the Super Bowl, John, I owned almost 100,000 Dogecoin, 100,000 of them.
Oh, that's right.
At 3 cents a piece.
Have you been holding the whole time?
Oh, God, I wish. You know what it would be worth?
No.
Well, let me tell you. So I owned 100,000 at 3 cents.
Oh, no. Isn't it like
So
45 cents?
No, it was way more. So listen. So 100,000 of them, I sold them at 7 cents. Over doubled my money. So I made like $3,000. 3,500.
You sold it all?
Yep. But then I bought back in at 17 cents and I sold again at 24 cents. I just kept taking this like $2,000, $3,000 because I'd buy like $10,000 worth of it or $8,000 and make like two. If I had that original investment from when was Super Bowl? January? Like the third week of January?
February 1 or something
so
like that.
So that $3,000 investment, if I still had
3 months.
Yesterday hit 67 cents a piece.
Wow.
That $3,000 would have turned to 67,000. Instead, I made like 8,000, 7,000. I mean, I made some money still, so I'm happy.
That's my
but
I
also shielded myself from risk.
Oh, yeah.
Of exactly what you're saying. Like I wasn't gonna hold it all the way through. It was like I buy 10,000, make 3, sell it.
Yeah.
Buy 10, make 3,
and
sell
you're
it.
actually lowering your risk as you kept buying.
Yes. So then the next time I'm buying, I'm buying with profit versus.
I don't know. Well, no, that's the one you're gonna remember. Like that's basically my Marvel stock. I bought Marvel at $5, and then I almost double my money, and then Disney buys it for $30 cash plus a quarter Disney share.
By the way, so the big news on Dogecoin. Dogecoin's not something.
It's a novelty.
It's a novelty crypto, right? But right now, Elon Musk is going on Saturday Night Live this Saturday, and he's been pumping it, right, and talking about it forever.
Yeah.
And the whole vision of
the
whole vision of the group was they're like, we want to see it go to $1. Like $1 is like our goal, right? My brother bought a bunch of it at the same time, and I texted him when I sold mine. I was like, "Are you keeping yours?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm holding it."
Yeah.
I texted him yesterday. I'm like, "Do you still have it?" He goes, "No, I sold it." I'm like, "No." See, no one could sell it. No one could actually believe that it was going to go to $1. So everyone took profit.
Seeing post about this when it was 0.2 cents a share.
Yeah, 2
something
cents,
like that. Like it was when I
you could have
first
bought
$1,000
worth and made 60 times your money.
Like I was on TikTok when I first was trying to figure out TikTok. I still don't really understand TikTok.
John, we need to get you caught up into this real life.
Like if I was an 11-year-old girl, I'd have it down.
Yeah, you'd be down.
And
you could set your own line.
But I kept seeing posts about it, like 0.2, and if it just hit 10 cents, and people are like, it's never going to hit 10 cents. And so I knew about it.
So it hit 67 cents.
Wow.
2 days ago, but guess what? This is how volatile it is. Today, it's all the way down. Today, it's down 12%. It's down to 54 cents.
Well, everybody's not sure what to make of it.
Well, not everyone's gonna hold. Like, so for me to answer back to the question, I'm gonna hold Ethereum.
Yeah.
The plan of the Ethereum I have right now is I'm not selling it. I might add some.
Yeah.
I've owned Bitcoin. It has gotten so expensive. I bought some at like 30,000, but I bought a fraction.
Yeah.
And made profit. So what I've been doing, what a lot of people are doing is crypto has become. Not only does it have its value as an asset and as a currency, it also has its value as a trade commodity. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like you get the best of all of it.
I think what will probably happen with me is once I read something about Ethereum being superior to Bitcoin for its utility.
Utility is way higher on Ethereum.
Yeah,
yes.
And so I think what I'll probably end up doing is once it becomes a currency, that means basically it's plateaued.
Yep.
Then I'll probably buy some just so I can use it.
Yes.
Not because I'm holding it for a return, but so that like I'm gonna put have $1,000 worth. So then if I need to use it to buy something for $40, I'll just be like, oh, you take Ethereum, here you go.
Right.
and then go out. So I just really kind of want to use that as utility.
Nice.
That's all. Ethereum. All right.
Ethereum.
So I got a little nugget.
And by the way, so one more comment on that. I think there's a huge overlap in the sports card and the crypto market.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are doing both. I think a lot of the draw to sports cards is the investment side.
Yeah.
A lot of it's same. So I think those are actually one group of people.
One
Sports
of the other
bettors
things I got to
too,
do is I got to figure out how to do a wallet so that when we're at shows, if somebody does have it, I can just take it, and then I can decide whether or not I want to.
My buddy just shared a wallet. I'll maybe share it on air. Right now, they will give you 6 or 7% interest on the crypto you hold in that wallet.
Really?
Yes, they give it to you in
you
more
need to
crypto.
show me how to do that.
Yeah.
You know what's sad though? Mm-hmm. I was gonna put $100 in Ethereum 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that would be worth now, because I was trying to figure out some marketing thing. Yeah. I can't even remember what site it was, but they used Ethereum as their model, transactional whatever, and I couldn't figure out the wallet, so I gave up. I could not figure out the wallet. I was like, I'll put a couple $100 in there and just see whatever. And so I remember thinking like, okay, I'll figure out how to use this. And I called Steve. What up, Steve? Steve comes up every podcast. I said, how do you do this wallet? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, what good are you? Yeah. You're like, yeah, he's been yapping about Bitcoin for 6 years.
By the way, I have a customer who's in the shop today, 2 days ago, talking about the same conversation. And the amount of Dogecoin he owned in like January, if he would have held it, he'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like there's literal millionaires that have been made.
There's
in
people
the last,
who put all their money in Dogecoin with their stimmy.
Yeah.
And they're up to
crushing it.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Good for them, man.
Awesome. No, absolutely. I know that
versus going out and wasting.
I think this is a good lesson. We kind of touched on this before about being happy for people.
Yes.
There's a bunch of people who will have a friend who did this, and then they were like, "Oh, don't do that. It's so stupid."
Yep.
And then they did it, and they made a lot, and now they're bitter about it that their friend made out. If that person's your friend, you should be really happy for them.
And you shouldn't be their friend anymore if they're
really
not
happy for it. Yeah. And then,
well, I'm saying if in the reverse.
Oh no, absolutely. If somebody's grumpy that you made $200,000 on a $1,000 investment in Dogecoin, I'd stop being friends with that.
Well, and let me say this too.
They should be like, okay, first of all, you got to buy me a pizza. Yeah. But second of all, I'm really happy for it.
And let me say this too. I think there's something. This is going to be my one like pastoral moment of this message where understand that oftentimes making that kind of money for people that have, like we know guys who have won World Series poker tournaments for $500,000. One of them literally said, like, going back, if he would have that moment again, he would have handled the money he won so differently.
Oh, right.
Because you had this idea that, I got it so easy, it's just going to happen again. Dude, the guy won 3 bracelets. He hasn't won a bracelet since 2006. Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, it's very difficult to win.
Never happened, and when is your opportunity to go crazy?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you get that big low when you spent it all.
And so the story is it was like a $500,000 win, and he said after paying his backers and all this stuff, like he only walked away with like $150,000. But he said that night they all went out, and like
how much did they blow?
Like $20,000-$30,000. Like, and afterwards you're like,
well,
why? Like, why? It's just not worth it.
I'll put it this way. After we got married, my wife and I looked at each other, and we were like it was like a week after the wedding. We were like, that probably wasn't worth the money. And that was our wedding.
Your actual wedding, yeah.
And because a wedding's not a marriage, right?
Yep.
I mean, you
and so
never get married going down the
keep in mind, if you were to
we were
make
cheap.
this money,
ours was cheap.
Yeah, I mean, ours
was 11,000.
Oh, ours was less. You know why we didn't do meals? We just did appetizers.
Yeah, that's what
desserts.
we did. We did
a lot. We did it for our
family. We did it for our family, and so in that sense, it was worth it.
Yep.
But for us, it was like, One for family, I would have been okay with, whatever.
A destination wedding or something where it's like, let's spend
this
money
go on
somewhere.
a trip to Duluth and get married and whatever.
And then put some money away and save some money for your first house.
Right.
Like, all that to be said, like, money will not satisfy you the way you think it will. Like, and
now,
so use your money.
Though, if you use money properly.
Yes.
And you use it to help your family and to help others, it becomes extremely satisfying.
Enhancing people's lives should be the goal. Relationships should be the goal.
Well, like one of the things with this business, if I can make it the way I want it, where it's a large fulfillment service.
Yep.
Just the concept. No, I have to make a lot of money in order to do this, right?
Yep.
But
that motivates you.
But if it motivates me. But if I can provide 75 full-time jobs, holy smokes, that'll be awesome.
Right.
So that's where I need money in order to do that. I need to make enough money to justify that expense. But that will be what I really am proud of. It's not really the dollar amount.
Right.
The dollar amount sort of.
Because to be honest, like I love what Buffett talks about. Like he goes, there's really he's like, my standard of living doesn't look much different than yours. Like, other than the fact that he's like, he lives in the same house he's owned forever.
1975.
He didn't go buy this new house. Like he's like, why? Like, I don't need.
No, he has a nice house in Omaha. I mean, it's a nice house.
I mean, he's not on the street corner. We know that.
It's a nice house. It's not, but it was like a $275,000 house in 1974.
Dude, he does not live in a $100 million house.
No, but here's the thing: $150,000 house in 1974 was a really nice house. I mean, it was a really, really nice house. Yeah. But it's not a mansion by any means. Yeah.
Like, there's rappers who are in way more extravagant, and
there
their money's going to be gone.
There are middle relievers who have better houses than Warren Buffett does.
Yeah.
Like, my 3-year, $8.7 million contract came in, and they buy $1 million house.
Well, and one of the things you got to ask yourself is like, how can I now? Like, everyone needs the money they need to live. Then the question is, how do I put my money to work?
Yeah.
And I think one of the beauties of cryptocurrency is people are that's the opportunity with them. Like the average investor, I think they look at all the stocks out there and they're just like, this is so overwhelming.
Right.
Whereas like cryptocurrency is somewhat like sports cards. It's like I think Patrick Mahomes is good. I think the Chiefs are good. I can make that investment based on some real life experience versus like
you have some control.
I don't understand IBM's like,
I told that about Steve.
Profit loss.
Steve was talking. What up,
statements.
Steve? Steve was talking about oil stock once, and he asked me to look at it. And I'm not an expert, but I know how to look at a stock. And I go, I don't know how they make their money.
Yeah.
And so, like I do, they go out and they find gas and they pull it out. But I don't really understand how they know where to find
how
it,
they acquire
and how much you spend on it.
Yep.
However, if it's a retail stock, I totally know how they make money. Like, done. Like, easy. Casino. I own this casino company called Century Casinos in Colorado. And like I got that, and they were putting casinos in South Africa. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting market.
Yep.
Like I understood, so I basically never invested in anything I didn't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And to that point, if you're listening to the podcast, everything we're talking about, there's a huge industry behind it that you can actually invest in. You can invest in PSA. You used to be able to, now you can't. You can invest in eBay. You can invest in PayPal. You can invest in Square. You can invest in, like cryptocurrency. Like so. Part of the thing I think that you're communicating in that about retail is like you're in retail, you've worked in retail, you get it, and so you tend to invest in the area of your knowledge.
I can look at it and go, their labor costs are too high, or their margins are too low, or they're carrying too much debt. Like,
or they have risk.
I understand how the business works. I can look at their ad campaigns and be like,
right, their marketing
is not a good ad campaign, or a great ad campaign. I'm like, okay, I think this is going to respond and more revenue. And
so. To those of you guys listening, what is your expertise? I'd say invest in your expertise. Invest in the area, whatever sector of the market you are.
Yeah. No, you said that before buying PSA stock, where you're like, well, I'm spending all this money with this company.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that they're doing well. Why not buy it?
Yeah.
And then that's a very good one.
We call that rake back in poker because you're going to put rake in, which is the house taking the money.
Yeah.
I'm giving PSA money. If I own their share, guess what? I'm actually putting some of it in my very little, but
for every dollar, I get a tiny bit of my profit back.
Whatever, and obviously the more you're spending with them, the more incentive it is to own.
And then you can buy more and get a little more back.
So it's all kind of anyway. Fun topic.
So one little tidbit before we move on to the draft, because I think there's going to be a lot of draft talk. Who is the best top 3 players in baseball right now? Do you think? Just off the top of your head.
Define younger.
Acuna probably.
What?
Just in general, who's the best player in baseball right now? Like, give me some names.
Trout. Oh, Mike Trout's the best.
Okay, Mike Trout. Okay, I was gonna say, I was looking at him like, geez, he's hitting 400, dude.
He's unbelievable.
398 with a 514 on base percentage.
Yeah, so you know what?
514 on base percentage. That 400 is one thing, but to do another over 100 points over your batting average is ridiculous.
I sent my buddies this stat. Mike Trout this season, he's had 101 plate appearances. He's been on base 52 times. He's only made 49 outs. He's made less outs.
How many strikeouts did he have? I didn't look up that part.
I didn't see that. He's made less outs than he's been on base. So essentially, his on base percentage is above 500. What's the record for an end of a season on base percentage?
It's not 500.
It's way less, right? Yeah. It's got to be
because here's the thing: 100 points is 100 and 120 points is really good over your batting average.
Yep.
But that means your OBP is 400 and you're hitting 285.
Ted Williams has a record 481.
480. So no one's ever finished a season above 500.
I'm surprised it was that high. I thought it might be like 440.
Well, you know why? Because he hit 400 that year. He hit 400 and then
and it wasn't even 100
points. And it wasn't even 100.
But that goes to my point.
Yes.
If your average is that high and you're walking, that's nuts. That's crazy talk. So I know 100 at bats in, but
there's only 4 people over 450 ever.
Only 450 over 450. 4 people over 450. Let me look up Mike Trout real quick. I'm curious how many strikeouts he has now.
Trout actually has one. He's top. He has 18 for the best.
For what?
OB on base in a year. He has a record on there. He's 18th. He's ahead of Frank Thomas. One behind.
Well, that's impressive. Frank Thomas on base percentage is nuts.
That is crazy.
He's not even a full point behind Mantle. Or Mantle's best on base.
All right, let me find walks here. At bat. Here you go. Not walks, strikeouts. 19 walks, 29 strikeouts. That's not. I mean, that's a pretty good split. That's not the best split. Nor was I actually expecting a lot lower if he's got a 398 batting average, but not a lot lower. But I was expecting more like even.
Yeah.
Like 19-19.
Mike Trout is absolutely living up to the hype this year, which is like, how could that happen? Like but now here's the weird part, and this is
I haven't been hearing a lot of stuff about.
Now understand this: his cards aren't necessarily going up.
That's what I'm saying.
And you know what else isn't going up? Like Apple stock isn't going up, and they just reported earnings and they crushed it, and they have the most cash of any business ever. And I'm just like, wait a second. It's kind of like Mike Trout. It's like, so what we're finding out is some of this value is actually already priced into the market.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, they were actually pricing in Trout's season.
I think card-wise, I think stocks, I think you're more correct than cards.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when somebody's really good, we saw this with Freddie Freeman for the first 8 years of his career. He would hit 300.
Is Freddie Freeman really good, though?
Freddie Freeman's really good.
Okay.
So Freddie Freeman would hit 285, 290, hit 30 home runs, get 90, 100 RBI, and you'd be like, oh, Freddie Freeman, like, who's that? Like, he did that 5 years in a row. What are you talking about?
Right.
Trout's at a different tier.
He's at the highest tier.
He's at the highest tier, but he's doing the same thing.
I mean, he won 3 MVPs in his first 5 seasons.
No, but it's like, what do you do? Oh, he hit 298. 405 on base percentage, 40 home runs, 120 RBI. Like, okay.
And won a Gold Glove.
Like, whatever. And won a Gold Glove. Whatever. And then if he doesn't win an MVP, it's like a bad year.
Yeah. If he's not, like, he's been top 3, I believe, every season.
Yeah. And so what happens is there is going to come a point, believe it or not, as hot as Mike Trout is in the card market, there's going to come a point where everybody goes, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
What is his career numbers now?
Yeah.
And the cards are going to go up even more. Because it's just going to get into
I think the big thing for him is, in order for him to become a household name for the non-baseball fan, he needs to do it in the biggest stage in the World Series. That's what's left. I think there's also this, like, when he starts,
and then career numbers stuff. Yeah.
When his career numbers start, when he gets close to 500, and they're like, this is he's the fastest to everything. He's the fastest to, however many hits he has, and so, like, next thing you know, it'll be like, wow,
so
first
he's at
guy
310 right now, home runs, and he's at halfway to 3,000. So
and he's only
not 30 yet.
He's only played. This is his 9th season.
10th season.
Is this his 10th?
Yeah.
It's got
partial.
2011. Oh yeah, into it then. Yeah, 29.
Yeah, so he's into his.
Now, here's the thing: in players in their 30s who are power hitters, people are always like, "Oh, he's turning 30." They actually get more power in their 30s. They lose the stolen bases.
Yep.
The average average is all over the place. Sometimes it degrades, sometimes it even goes up.
Yep.
But the power goes straight up.
Yep.
They're just really experienced, and they actually are building more like old man strength, I guess. Old man.
Well, and part of
muscle.
it is like, think about it. Once you've had like 2,000, 3,000 at bats.
Yeah.
Like, what does that do for you as a hitter?
Right. But the other thing
experience
too
you know.
when Trout was 22, 23, 24, he's not as strong as he's ever going to be yet. You don't start really
for sure.
You don't get to your peak till 28 or 29. He's really at his peak now, and so he gets to ride that for 5-6 years, where he's the strongest he'll ever be in his whole life.
Let me ask you this: have you heard any of the controversy about people thinking he's on like HGH or some sort of testosterone?
I
or
mean,
something
there's always going to be that when you're that good.
Or there's something where like there's some people who are legitimately concerned that he's gonna like have that come out and like tarnish his career. I had somebody talking about it at the show this week, and I'm just like, that's the first I've ever heard.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, you can't just start saying that.
No,
I mean,
like you have some insider information.
Yeah,
What
no,
are you
it's
telling
just-
me here?
I
Like,
think it's just you can't be that good unless, and that's not true. There's outliers.
yeah,
He could be. I don't know.
Michael
but
Jordan.
I haven't seen any reason.
No, right?
I haven't seen any reason to assume that. I mean, it's not like he's not a monster by any means. Barry Bonds, you could tell. Like, I mean, he got swole, and he was 39. You know,
Right,
you're
right,
like, wait,
right.
what's happening there?
Right.
By the way, the other day, was this yesterday? Edwards and
Edwards
John
went for
Morant
40.
went crazy.
I know.
That was
I
pretty
saw a
cool.
stat: only 3 guys have ever, as teenagers, gone for 40 points,
Isn't
five
that still a teenager?
assists. No.
Oh.
Edwards, 40, 5, and 5. The only 3 guys ever to do it before they hit 20.
Okay.
Durant, LeBron, and now Edwards.
Wow.
Edwards is number 3 on that list. Think about that: Durant, LeBron, Anthony Edwards.
How is Durant on defense? Is he a
He's-
good defender or not?
World class.
Okay,
He's
so-
first team All NBA.
So, LeBron is a good defender. Edwards needs to figure
That's
that part of it.
yeah. No, that's not his. But I mean, man, that's
good company.
and for a bad team where he's really the focus in a lot of ways, stopping him, like wow,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, let's get
Yeah.
into the draft.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the Vikings. If you are a Packer fan listening to us, I guess thank you for listening, but we don't really care. Let's talk about the Packers first. You weren't not going to have Aaron Rodgers anymore. So.
What an interesting time for Aaron Rodgers. Let's just talk about Aaron Rodgers for a second. I've never liked him as a leader. I like him even less now. I think the fact that he decided to handle his frustration on draft day when
I
he
don't
thought
think he
had
leaked
leverage.
that.
Oh yeah,
McAfee is convinced that he's not the one that leaked that.
really?
Yeah, McAfee's convinced about that. That didn't come from Aaron Rodgers.
They just happened to do it on draft day to try to
Some
create.
people think that. Who's the guy that broke the story?
Wojnarowski?
Yeah. So some people think that he had that information earlier, and he waited till draft night to release it. So that's just speculation. That's speculation.
What's their motivation then? Because that's
that's great news for draft night. I mean, for a newsman's gonna love that. But I mean, not that McAfee is the expert and everything, but he doesn't think Rodgers was the one that leaked it. Even whatever his name is, he didn't say this came from Rodgers. He said it came from sources in Packers.
And I'll say the evidence does point to what you're saying, because when they drafted Love, I thought immediately they know Rodgers is frustrated and leaving. Because they obviously know inside the organization the state of the union, and they know where. And if they knew Rodgers was already frustrated, they're like, it's time for his replacement. You know what I mean?
Well, but they had already
to me
done that literally with Rodgers.
Right.
15 years ago. So
right.
It's not like Packers, this is unlike them.
But they actually might have known he's like, after this contract, I'm out here.
Maybe.
And then they're like, oh, we got to get the ball. But yet, because they were communicating something by drafting a first-round quarterback. Moving up. Versus like, hey, we're going to be in the NFC Championship this year. Tom Brady's coming to Lambeau. We better get another weapon. Let's go get Justin Jefferson.
They didn't really have a chance last year, and then, of course, Aaron Rodgers goes on an MVP season. And then that's kind of threw a monkey wrench in what they thought was going to happen.
I'll say this much. He'll never walk back in that locker room. Because if I was an offensive lineman for Aaron Rodgers and he just said he wanted to leave, like...
What are the chances...
I don't know how he plays.
Stays. Like, what percentage would you give it? Because nothing's 100.
10 or less.
Do you think 10? I think way less than 10.
I think it's 10 or less.
I think he might retire.
No chance.
You know,
he's way too competitive. He's way too in his prime. He just had one of his best seasons ever.
You know what he really likes? He likes that stupid Jeopardy gig.
But you know what else he likes? Trying to win a Super Bowl.
Only a dirty Packer would prefer Jeopardy over football.
That's true.
You know,
that's fair.
Like a Viking would want to play football.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
But yeah, he's a weird dude. And he's a dirty Packer. So
before we jump into the Vikings, can I say one of the things about the draft that I was blown away by was the fact that Trey Lance, right? Trey Lance. Am I saying it right? Lance.
Trey
okay.
Lance,
I was going to say a different last name. Trey Lance, who's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Went to North Dakota State. Marshall. Yep.
Yeah.
So I actually went and watched the draft with some friends of mine. The family I used to live with, they live in Jordan. The son plays on the football team. They played against him in high school because Jordan's in the conference with Marshall. And the fact that he went to North Dakota State and then got drafted third. Now you have 2 North Dakota State quarterbacks in the top 3 of the NFL draft in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
The Gophers have never had a quarterback draft in the top 5. What does that do for their recruiting? I literally cannot even fathom.
We've always been an offensive line team, the Gophers, and it looks like we're becoming a wide receiver team. Bateman got drafted in the first round.
I mean, good for Bateman, but let me say this. It is something else for a program of North Dakota State's size to have 2 picks.
They've been a D1 team for what, 15 years?
Yeah, but but they haven't had when was
nobody
the
would
last time?
even play them.
Notre Dame doesn't even get their starting quarterbacks drafted in the top 3.
Yeah.
Very rarely. I'm just saying it's a absolute sign of North Dakota State being a legitimate program.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
And now
it got to a point where they were the what do you call what they were
it
before?
It was one double A, and now it's just.
So then it got to a point where they were trying to find teams to play in, like real. They would go, we'll schedule them early in the season, get a win. Yeah. And then they lose
They beat the Gophers at home, 3-4 years ago.
They beat a ton of teams. And
but
then
we're talking Big Ten.
We're not playing that stupid
I actually
team.
thought they were going to come into the Big Ten. I was like, why bring Nebraska and just bring them in?
Oh, yeah.
North Dakota State would be like
a heck of a lot more sense.
It'd be huge for them as a state, too, to have a.
Right. Have that border
to have Ohio State coming to play there,
Right.
North Dakota State's never had that level. But so anyway, that was exciting for me on a hometown level, and to just go wow, this guy, he actually is going, I think, into the best scenario of any of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's going to the Niners.
They're a good team.
They were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They're really one, healthy season.
Well, the thing with the Niners, too, is they had a rash of retirements, too.
Yeah.
Like guys who were not
linebacker, what's his name?
Aldous Smith and Patrick Willis retired early. That was a while ago,
there's another guy in between there.
There's a lineman that retired. There was
concussion-related guy.
Yeah, so you're kind of oh man, we got all these stars. So it had kind of a weird. It was a normal progression.
And very rarely does a pick that early go to a team that's so closely removed from a championship. And to be honest, Shanahan is one of the best offensive coaches.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best quarterback coaches. And so I'm it's kind of like the Mahomes thing. Mahomes went 10th. 2 guys went before him. But he went to the best scenario.
Right.
I'm most excited for Trey Lance to go there.
So in terms of – that's a good one. I didn't think of that. But, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the highest priced rookie card coming out the gate.
For sure.
Are you arguing that Trey Lance might be the guy to buy more on a budget, but who might end up going to playoffs his rookie year? And because they still got Garoppolo.
Yep.
And so Garoppolo's a starter.
Which is actually good, right? Think about some of the best. Think about the best quarterbacks right now in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers didn't need to start his rookie year. Mahomes did not need to start. Tom Brady did not need to start. He ended up starting partway through the year because Bledsoe got hurt. But all these guys, it's actually better for them.
No, I would argue that's true. Now
Lawrence has a lot of pressure.
Going into the Vikings, we ended up picking up Kellen Mond.
Yes.
And he's going to have the same thing. He's got a legit quarterback to watch and talk to.
Yes.
And now Cousins is in the last year, Or 2 years.
I think he signed
last year.
Through this year and one
I think
more?
it's through this year.
I'll have to look, but
I think it's done. Either that or it's not a big cap hit.
What does that do for him? It's a huge transition for a college football player to go into the pros. Just
Yeah.
like literally, not only like
Talk
practically,
about the speed.
offensive playbook
Yeah.
is about 10 times
yeah.
bigger. So like as a quarterback, that's the biggest
Yeah.
transition, and he doesn't have to do it going into
And
the
he doesn't
first
have
game.
all that stress of not only you got to learn it, but by the way you're starting.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, oh man, like
It's not ideal. So yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right. Lawrence. Now I don't know if you saw this. Did you watch the draft?
I watched it with Max. What up, Max?
What up, Max?
Max and his dad Rick were in here. We were watching the draft while I was
Nice.
sorting cards.
They literally said, I don't know if you saw this. All the NFL draft analysts rank quarterbacks every year, and they said the highest ranking quarterbacks ever. Trevor Lawrence made the elite group. These were the highest ranking quarterbacks ever.
Okay.
John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck. They gave them like basically 100. I don't know if I don't think they gave the scale. And they said so literally 98, so 84, 98, Luck was 12.
Yeah.
Since 2012, they've never ranked someone as high. And then before that, it was another, 6, whatever it was, how many, 98, 08, for another 14 years.
Name up or something.
So they're like, Lawrence is as good as you could ask for.
Now, that doesn't guarantee anything.
No.
Injury is always a thing, but that's a big deal.
And these guys, I'll be honest, people take it kind of jokingly, like, these guys study prospects, this is their living.
Right.
They very rarely miss. Now,
I
they
told
miss,
you that about
but they
fantasy
very rarely miss.
baseball.
Yeah.
When you look at what round they were drafted in and chance of becoming a Hall of Famer, it's like, they're all drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them were drafted before round 3. It's 49 rounds in baseball, or there used to be. And it's like, no, they know what they're doing. Like, I know they're boss, but they know what they're doing. All the best guys are in the first 3 rounds.
Right.
In basketball, it's rare to see a second rounder explode like Jokic.
Yep.
I don't know about hockey, but football, the same thing. Like now it depends on position because you can go to like the 5th round on running back, and there's value there. There's plenty of unsigned running backs that do it, but wide receivers probably really clumped in the first 2 rounds.
Well, I'll say this much though: it's interesting. They also share another stat that since between 2006 and 2015 or something, they said. There's not one quarterback drafted in the first round that's still with the team that drafted him.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the only guys that are still there are like Russell Wilson, but he was drafted in like the 3rd round.
Right.
And they named a couple other ones, and they were none of them were first rounders.
Quarterbacks are always musical chairs once that contract's up.
So
there's so much money.
Yeah, but if you're a franchise guy, they don't let you leave. So that tells you like there haven't been a lot of franchise guys in the first round recently. I mean, Mahomes will be one of them, but he wasn't in the time frame they gave.
Right.
He was post that.
So I am very happy with the Vikings draft.
Yeah.
We were going through even the ones that were kind of surprises, like taking Kellen Mond. I was like, oh, and then I was like, I would think we would wait till later in the draft, but I'm like, no, that makes sense. And then in the 4th round we take the running back from Iowa State.
Yep.
And I was like, running back, and then I was like, no, that makes sense. I mean, Cook gets injured. Madison really struggled when Cook was out.
Yeah.
And so it was like, sure, when Cook goes down, we're going to need that extra guy. So I wasn't expecting running back at all.
Right.
We got 2 edge rushers. We were looking at the depth chart right before the draft, me and Max were, and we're like, wow, we need defensive line help bad. So grabbing a couple edge rushers, hopefully one of them is good.
I mean, their first round pick, Derazau, the guy's.
Oh, dude, you draft starting left tackle. I mean, let's go.
And they even made this statement on Vikings.com that like he's like, I'm not the player I'm gonna be yet. Like he's still physically maturing. Yeah. He's still gonna learn a ton, and he's already physically ready to like step right in and
Well, I mean, here's what's crazy is 1st round pick's a starter. 3rd, the linebacker is probably a starter. The guard is probably a starter, Wyatt Davis. One of the defensive ends is going to be a starter because we don't have a defensive end. And that's not necessarily that the pick is so good, but we're so weak.
Yep.
And then, so we got 5 starters out of draft.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but I mean, 5 starters out of a 7-round draft.
Well, and
I realize we had more picks.
As you watch Kirk Cousins, I don't know if there's a quarterback in the NFL that is more negatively impacted by pressure.
Yeah.
Meaning he goes from being a way above average in the pocket with no pressure to being literally one of the worst quarterbacks ever with pressure. And so, like, why aren't we drafting all?
No, think about it. I mean, O'Neal's good at tackle.
Yep.
Bradshaw at center.
Bradbury. Yep.
Bradbury at center.
Terry Bradshaw's playing center.
Yeah, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
He's got a second career as a
Let's go.
center. Deritha, right?
Yep.
We drafted a guard. Hopefully he's a starter. And then, like, all of a sudden that line's really solid.
Yeah. And you got some depth because now guys that were starting are able to back up. And,
And then there's some guys who are like, they shouldn't be starters. They're definitely. And really, O'Neal was a guy who was a really late round pick, like 5th or 6th round, and he ended up being a very good tackle. So.
And part of it is with Dalvin Cook having injuries the way he's had them, like, the better the offensive line, the better for all these guys. Because a lot of times, like, the times they're getting injured are when we're blowing a block and he's getting freaking hammered, like, before right as he takes the hand. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I've always argued that you should take offensive or defensive line in your first 2 picks in every draft.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to that 10th year, you're replacing the guys. And because the line of scrimmage controls the rest of the game.
I mean, I think one of the best Vikings picks of my lifetime was Kevin Williams in the first round from Oklahoma State, who guy's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's one of the.
No,
he was
it's not a very attractive thing to do. Like, I was grabbing tackles.
But he made them good.
No, the defensive tackles all the time. And, But, I mean, defensive ends are kind of fun.
Yep.
If you get, like, a top 5 defensive end, those are kind of fun. But yeah, it's kind of those are boring.
It's not a sexy pick. It's
not quarterbacks, but it's
you know what it does make though is it makes, believe it or not, I know people forget about this. It makes Justin Jefferson better.
Yep.
It makes Dalvin Cook better. It makes Irv Smith.
We've seen a lot of teams with really good offensive line, and then like their third string running back comes in, he's running 100 yards a game. You're like, oh man, they found this diamond. No, their offensive line's really good.
Let me just the cat's out of the bag. Emmitt Smith is not the greatest running back of all time, but he has the most yards because he had the best offensive line. If Barry Sanders was behind that line,
I will temper. I would temper
Emmitt
Smith, but Emmitt Smith is still.
He's still great.
He's
top
5.
10. He's top 10 probably.
Yeah,
I don't even know if he's top 5, but.
But Barry Sanders, you're right. Barry Sanders would be the clear favorite.
I think I'd put Walter Payton.
They literally had 3 Hall of Famers, and then one year they had 5 All Pros.
Every single guy.
Like,
and that's the problem with Mike Zimmer thinks we can win the way they won without the line they have. Like you can't just pound it unless you have.
But a lot of the line problems has been injuries, so I can't even blame the coach for that one.
Yeah.
How deep are we?
That's good.
102. I got a little time.
Let's talk about the big news. Mike just sent over the link. Great, exciting news of the day.
Great news.
Sports Collectors Daily, just May 5th. This is the title of the article. I'll just read it. Stevens Convention Center to reopen in July. So the Donald E. Stevens Center is where the National is hosted in Illinois, Chicago. It's in Rosemount suburb, north end. They have not been open since last March.
Wow.
They are set to open in July. So there hasn't not been a trade show because they haven't. So we had a customer in today who was talking about he works with all these trade show companies. Like there's none happening. Minnesota, big exciting news today. Isn't it tonight that the bars are now open till 2 a.m. again? There's no more 10 a.m.
I didn't hear that.
And then we're like 2-3 weeks away from the mask mandate going away. And big gatherings. So, like, all of this is
I had a
perfect
customer
timing.
say that to me today, and they're like, oh, yeah, the masks are going away. I'm like, yeah, I never wore one in the first place, so this means nothing to me.
John's like, I never.
You come to my shop, you wear it,
so
cool. If you don't, it's fine with me.
So have you not gone anywhere where you've had to wear one?
Like no. I'll go into a business. If the business wants me to wear a mask, that's their property. I'll wear it.
Yep.
But in my shop, like,
you don't need to.
Like, nope.
So it says, in this note, it says officials with the Stevens Convention Center say they're going to be ready to welcome the first events a few weeks ahead of the July 8th National. So the news comes shortly after Chicago's mayor announced that the city would begin to open conventions.
Well, what does the mayor of Chicago have to do with the convention center?
He is the one who said they couldn't. Sorry, she said they couldn't have gatherings more than 250.
The Illinois governor?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, sorry, wait.
He said Chicago's mayor.
Chicago's mayor's involved too. I don't know how.
I don't know how Chicago's mayor is involved with Rosemont. It's a completely different
well, the news says that Chicago's mayor and Illinois governor.
Oh,
so
okay.
They
so
must have
probably mixing. Yeah, okay. Fair.
One of them has more jurisdiction there.
I don't think that Chicago mayor has anything to do with the convention center. I think it's
Nope.
just saying like also Chicago mayor.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, yeah. And I think this article is more broader reaching, but they narrowed it down to like this actually. So this indicates that this is the final decision. Because they had said by June 1st they were going to make a final decision if it was happening, and now this is it.
And then did the article say anything about requirements for masks?
Yep. So what I'm hearing right now is that there's still going to be masks. There's going to be temperature checks, and there's going to be some sort of
temperature checks for that many people.
Yeah, it takes a second.
I get it, but like there's a lot of people.
Yeah, but part of it is what they're going to do is they don't want huge groups gathering to come in, so there's going to be some sort of like it's going to be a little awkward, a little less
kind of suck.
Yeah, it's not going to be a free for all. Like, and I think they're probably going to have a capacity limit.
You know what's going to happen?
Go out, they let
you know what's going to happen though?
Yeah,
it's all going to be ignored.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
I think they're going to first day when not a lot of people are there. It's going to be all like.
Well, who's going to regulate it? That's the
right.
question.
And here's the other thing too is like right now it's something like 85 million people have had both shots or the single shot, and it's like that's a quarter of the country who are done.
Yep.
And then, by the way, the non-children, that's more than a quarter, so that's like 40-50%.
And honestly, so a quarter are done. There's at least a quarter that aren't going to get it.
Oh, right.
Or aren't going to do the shot.
But then of that, they've had it, so they're immune anyways.
Yep.
And so by the time July comes along, they might even drop that mask mandate.
Sure. Well, no, Minnesota's
probably not Illinois, but
Minnesota's dropping it soon.
No, right, but Illinois is a different world of weirdness.
I mean, the mask. It is. It's more liberal than Minnesota, but believe it or not, which is very hard to do. Yes, it is.
But yeah, so
I'm excited for economically. I'll look back to the investment side. Right now, if you want my advice on investing, I would go buy the 5 sectors of the economy that have been most negatively impacted by the coronavirus, and you're going to see
Airbnb might be a really good stock to buy. Although I think they've been up.
I already bought them. Carnival Cruise Lines are going to get crushed. Just any big hotel that you can buy, MGM, all the
even though I haven't used them yet, I've signed up for 2 houses. I had to cancel the first one, and we're going to be using the first one at the National.
At the National, yeah. Dude, so the National's on. Mike was so giddy today because literally like his son said, he goes, the National's the best week of the year.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, of course it is.
By far,
it is. It's not even close. It's like the
National
is coming.
What might get close, not by size, but this Dell show might get close just because of where it's
and experience. Oh yeah, the experience is gonna be great there.
Now, last I heard was 325 tables at confirmed at Dell. Have you heard anything higher than that?
I haven't heard anything higher. I know they had capacity for a lot more, so I don't know.
Yeah, and then PWCC, I saw an email go out. They're going to be there, and I want to say they must have sent it to their mailing list, but you said that you were on their mailing list and you didn't get it. So
I didn't check my emails this morning, though. But
I'll show you the email I got, because I got it from it was almost looked like a forward.
Are they going to be like promoting cards that are going to be sold in this next auction? Is that? Or
I think so. I'm not sure. We'll look at the email, and then JSA is going to be there.
Nice.
That's good. And so we're seeing that show get real legitimacy before they even have their first one.
Yeah.
I mean, usually you got to grow a show relatively slowly.
Dude, the excitement, because now we go Dells, Dallas, Bloomington again, and then the Iowa one, and then there's another.
Iowa is the week before. So here's the thing: a lot of people think that doing a card show the week before the National is not a good idea. It's a great idea. Everybody's prepping for the National, so people are. It's almost like they're so excited to go to the National, they have to go to a card show to sort of take some of the excitement out.
We're being led into John's inner life here. I think this is you as much.
There's usually a card show the week
John,
before the National.
John, are you speaking from experience?
I am speaking from experience. Because what happens is the National's happening, right?
Yeah.
And I've done this 7 times now, 7 random years. There's a card show the week before. I go to it. I'm like, why are all these people here? The National's next week.
Right.
But, yeah, same thing with Twins Fest. The week before Twins Fest was always a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was usually people were prepping, like getting bats and getting stuff for autographs. Now, has the National released any autographs yet?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
That I do not know, but I am very excited because.
Well, now that it's confirmed, you know what? It might be
part
like
of it is
2 weeks, and then they're going to start releasing.
I'm just excited for life post COVID. Like, how
absolutely.
exciting is this going to be? Like the summertime, because like, dude, wearing a mask in the summer when it's hot
yeah.
is literally like the worst punishment you could almost.
Oh, dude, you just breathing on it. See, I avoided the mask until like almost July last year. I didn't put it on once.
Wow.
I just didn't go anyway. And the first time I put it on was with Evan. We went to go find these mics for the podcast. And do you remember that? I was complaining about the mask. I'm like, what the heck is this? Everybody else was already used to it by then. We get out the whole time we're in Guitar Center. I'm like, this is awful. And then we get out and take it off. I'm like, I was breathing on myself the entire time. Like it was horrible. Now now you're used to it. But
that's funny.
But I never wear it longer than. I think at the card show was one of the longer times I've worn it. I usually don't wear it longer than 5 minutes.
Right.
Because it's gas stations, running Target real quick, maybe grocery store. But like even that, I was going to grocery store at 2 a.m. So.
Which, by the way, I will say this much: this last Bloomington show, the foot traffic was way down. It was the nicest day we've had. It was 80 degrees.
I'm gonna tell you something else, though.
So I don't know how that's gonna affect.
I did want to bring this up, though. The market is definitely cooling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're seeing big declines on really top end cards.
Yep.
Which I think is a good thing.
Yep.
I think people. I think they're going down because people are getting exhausted by the price. I mean, it's exciting, but then it just becomes like, how can I even participate in this hobby with
not
prices
realistic.
high?
Yep.
I think there's that, and then they're like, should I even collect anymore? But then we're also seeing people are getting exhausted by the high price, and they're just not willing to pay it.
Yep.
Anymore. So I've seen some big cards have like.
Well,
I'll
give an example. I saw a LeBron PSA 10 Topps Chrome rookie at the Bloomington show, and I asked the guy how much was on it, and he had 23,000 on it. Just to give you an idea, that card sold. Josh, my buddy, sold one 2 months ago for 40,000.
Yeah, February seemed to be the high point.
40,000. So that card's come down almost 50%.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's a buy if you were going to buy Chrome LeBron.
Well, that's the thing is, I don't know. I mean, the question you got to ask yourself is
10 years from now, is it going to be worth more?
No, I'm not talking about 10 years from now. The question you got to ask yourself is it going to cool more before it starts rising? Do you wait? So one of the things you do is you go, I'm going to watch it fall, right, until it starts to bump. I'll buy on the small bump because then I'm going to take all of that drop.
Yep.
And so that's one of the things. I don't know the answer.
Yep. Part of it is, and I'll say this much. I think actually, believe it or not, one of the things that's actually affecting it is the amount of money going into cryptocurrency. So, like, there's a limited amount of money in the total economy, right?
Yeah.
And so if a bunch of people that were investing in cards and they were doing short-term flips with it went, you know what? This crypto is actually taking – so, like, if you look at – sports cards were the crypto.
Yeah,
like for 3 months, this like it was the get your money and everyone's crushing.
And let's
now
be clear, we're full swing on sports. So there's those guys who are gamblers who don't care about cards at all.
And that's the guys I'm talking
about. They're not in the breaks at all anymore. They're just gambling back on sports again.
Yep.
So you got that because that was a bunch of the premium prices, especially in the breaks. And it's just because so many more people were in it. It was just those guys who were just gamblers. Like, cards, you can get a $10,000. Okay, cool.
Yep.
$100, $300 break, $1,000. Yep. They don't care. They just gamble. Sure. They're degenerates.
They're not collectors, right?
Yeah, that's how Steve and Mark refer to themselves. They're degenerates. They just love to gamble. But now that they can gamble on sports, the biggest problem with gamblers and sports cards is when you make a bet with your bookie and you win, the bookie just gives you your money. If I go on a break and I win, I gotta wait for it to come in the mail, and then I gotta sell it, and then I gotta
I gotta grade it. Let me ask you this: how do you think PSA? Do you think PSA being closed affects the cooling of the market at all?
Yeah.
Do you think that has something to do with it?
Yeah. Although no, because we're seeing the cooling on graded cards.
Yep.
But I think cooling on raw cards, how much that is happening, some of it from grading. I can't send it, so why am I messing with it.
Right.
That remember, no matter what the market is, even if it's high, middle, low, the buying players who you think are going to shoot up, that's always in play.
Well, and I think
even
too,
in a down market.
I'll say this much: if you were eyeing a guy that you wanted to take a position on, and you were like, I don't know about these prices, like now start targeting a price and see if it gets there. You know.
Yeah, I do think we're not going to see those knee-jerk, ridiculous prices out the gate, even though that always happens. But
what do you mean? Like down
no,
or
like
up?
when a brand new product comes out and then the first card. I mean, I was seeing numbers out of Prism Basketball. I was like, I don't like this card sold for $1,000. This is a $90 card.
Yeah.
All right, maybe a $400 card now. I don't know how it's a $1,000 card now.
Well, and then here's one of the reasons you have things cooling off is if guys were making really bad purchases like that, all of a sudden they realize I just lost my ass.
Well, how about this too? All these guys who've been in it for the last 6 months to 18 months, I think they've learned a few things.
Yep.
They've learned what brands mean. They've learned what parallels are.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys in this hobby that came in, and I know this because I've talked to them. They've come into my store, and they're like, so why is it red? And then I'm explaining to them what a parallel is.
Right.
They're like, yeah, I've been in like 8 breaks, and I'm like, they don't even know what a red meant.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
So I mean that, but after you're in it for a year, you're like, oh, I get how this product works.
Right.
Oh, maybe that's not what I should be targeting. I should be looking at some other stuff. So maybe what we're gonna see is back to a refinement.
We've noticed wax has slowed down too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you're right, spot on with pricing. Today we actually just had someone comment on our Facebook about pricing, and they accused us of being part of the problem, and I unfortunately let them know, like, I as much as I like to think I have the ability to, like, affect the whole market.
What they say?
They basically were like, it's hard to collect at these wax prices, and I'm like, I know. Like,
I agree.
But the reality is, like, a lot of this restock stuff, like,
I paid $17.50 for a Prism box.
Yeah, now it's like, what am I gonna do?
Like I was like, well, you should sell it for $1,200. I'm like, well,
no,
that's not really the business I'm in.
No, we're not gonna sell it.
No. Here's the thing: if that box goes to $1,200,
yeah,
I gotta sell it for $1,200.
Or you can hold it.
Well, I could hold, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the market price is $1,200. I don't control the price.
But
going back to us not controlling the prices.
Yeah.
I don't control the prices.
No, right.
But
I also do get to determine. Like I had somebody tell me today a comp of a Rob Gronkowski like X-Fractor PSA 9. Well, it's down about 30-40% from when the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't need to sell it. I don't need to match the last comp in the middle of the offseason for football.
Well, not only that, but I have certain cards like this is a good example of like I had a Vlad Guerrero Megabox 10.
Okay.
I had a couple of them, and I had a regular customer, very good customer. I give him deals all the time, and I had $60 on it. He goes, well, they're going for $34. This was 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I go, yeah. And he goes, but they're going for $34. I go, you really should buy it on eBay for $34. And he's like, oh. And I go, no, you should buy it for $34 on eBay. Like, that is a good price for this card. Yes. I'm not selling it for that.
Yes.
Very good price. I ended up selling them both for $55. I gave him I wasn't. I realized when I said it, I almost sounded like, well, what are they then? That's not what I was saying. I'm like, you should buy it.
Yes.
On eBay. Like because that's a great price.
And when they tell you that, you're almost like, I should buy it.
Yeah, I ended up buying it on his phone. I'm like, literally, go to eBay and buy it. Like, if you're into this card at that price, like, I think that's a great price.
That's
for
a win.
Card.
Yep.
And so, I don't do that a lot. I tend to try to be eBay or better.
Yep.
On singles, but there's just certain cards where it's like, nah, it's not worth. It's worth way more than this,
Yep.
And I usually keep them in the back. Sometimes I put them out once they start kind of heating up, but then I can't. So let's say I put 200 on it, and it's at 125. Well, I'm not watching the card every day.
Yep.
So then somebody comes in, maybe it's hitting 200. I'm unaware, and they're like, oh, I'll buy that off. Yeah, I don't want to lose a sale by keeping it in the back.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't happen a lot. But yeah, there's definitely cards like that.
I think you're right. This is a healthy thing. This is not a scary thing.
It's absolutely good.
This is normal. This is actually a sign that the market that is not just a fad. Like it can if you look at Tesla's up arrow, It's not straight up ever.
Right.
Like there's never a straight up. If you look at the trading of a single stock, even the hottest stock on the entire market over the last year, they have down days. They have down months. They have sideways days. And so like I think there's this idea that it's like if I'm in a good investment, it must just literally go up every single. It's like no, that's not the way.
Well, the other thing
works.
too is I don't even really want. I really don't even want wax prices to go up within a year. I kind of want them to stay static within the year. The singles are what should provide all the volatility.
Yep.
Guy's doing well, guy gets injured, guy whatever. But like, it is not good for the hobby that a box of Prism is $1,900. That's not good.
No, right.
Like nobody can afford it.
Yeah.
Except for a few people.
Yeah.
And Prism is not that great of a product.
And you can't
where it should be worth
you can't
that.
rip it and go like at let's say Prism last year was on at $400 a hobby. Like I can see a path to my money back. You know,
well,
like,
not only
every
that.
time.
Well, it's not just that, right? So it's like, Bowman Jumbo. What's cost on that? $275. Which, by the way, is crazy, but let's say it's $275. In a normal year, 30% is general market on wax for card shops. Card shops are like I remember working at a card shop. You go look at the cost, go 1.3, and that's what we're selling it for, and that's just what sold everything for 30% market.
Yep.
And that's historically what it is. So at 270, we're talking 60, 80 bucks, talking $350, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can buy that box, even though I'm not really a 350 price point guy, but I can buy that box and completely skunk on it and go, I'll check back in a year and see how these rookies are doing.
Mm-hmm.
That 350 isn't a knife twist, like, oh, man, like, I mean, I'm not happy that I skunked on it.
Right.
But that 350 isn't a death knell.
Right.
At 600, at 1900, at 2000, at 800 for Chronicle basketball last year. Like, what the hell are you even getting out of there at that point?
Right.
You know,
which, by the way,
what was Chronicle 2 years ago?
400.
No. Trey Young.
400.
No, not a box. I bought a box from you.
No,
I did not pay $400.
Hobby were 400.
I did not pay $400 for that.
It went up to about 600 at the end.
What was the beginning price on it?
Maybe like 275, 300.
I don't think I
They
paid
came
that
out
much
at the very
for it.
end of the year. Chronicles was the last product, so keep in mind an earlier
Did I just
product.
open a few packs
An
then,
earlier
not a
product
box?
would be a better example. Let me say this:
I might have opened a few packs then, and not a box. I thought I opened a box.
Court Kings at the beginning of the year, Luca's year would have been like $150 a box.
Okay.
Now they're $400.
But you
year.
can buy a box for $100, completely get demolished, and then you're disappointed, but you're not driving home. I'm
You
explain
could
this
get
to my wife.
You
like,
could you could
$100
get
bucks, who
you,
cares?
you could get an umpire auto like you did out of your archives box.
A what?
Umpire auto.
Oh, yeah, I'll buy out of my archives box. Yeah. Well, but
called
that's the
getting
thing
skunked.
is like you're not driving home like how I'm gonna hide this purchase from my wife or something. You're just like it's $100. I can't even go to a Twins game for $100.
Right.
You know, $100.
Which, by the way, I went to my first Twins game last week.
Oh yeah, I saw your photo.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was we barely held on.
Did we win? We actually won.
Now here's
you got to go to every game now, man.
Hey, we won, but do you want to hear a crazy bad beat story? The whole group, we all put money individually on the over at 8.5 runs.
Okay.
And then the
Who were you
twin,
playing?
Rangers,
Okay.
and Maeda was pitching in one of their worst starters, and then we put it on the Twins minus 1.5. Like we're talking the fifth inning, the Twins are up 5-0. We're like, well, and I had double as much on the Twins,
had to win
and
by
half as much on the over.
The Twins had to win by 2.
They had to win by 2. They're up 5-0. Then they go into the top of the ninth, up 6-3. Joey Gallo comes up with a guy on first.
What's up, Joey Gallo? I like Joey Gallo.
We commit 2 errors consecutively. We drop a ball in the outfield, and then we go to turn like a routine double play. Doesn't get it out of his glove, and the guy beats it out on first. We give him 2 extra outs, so Gallo gets up. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be up. 2 outs. And it's funny because the fans are just like, whatever, who cares? He hits the most meaningless 2-run homer. We're standing there, and he's left-handed, and he hits this thing. And we're just like watching it. Oh my god, that thing's out. And we're all just like, we had a
didn't hit your over.
No. We hit the over.
Oh, you did hit
But the
over.
Twins won by 1, and we went from
6-9.
as a
Oh,
group
okay.
winning like 1,200 to like breaking even. It was just
Oh,
the one
no.
like Joey Gallo. What are you doing to us? It
I
was
like Joey
hilarious.
Gallo.
It was a fun
If
spot.
you ever can get his average right.
But the
like,
Twins won.
Gallo and who's the other guy who's just like Dahl?
David Dahl, yeah.
Gallo and Dahl, if they can get the average up, they'll be.
By the way,
big.
there was a guy, is it Adolis Garcia? He's an older guy, but he's like a prospect.
Uh-huh.
I had just seen some of his first. We had in a box like 2018, and he came up and like looked pretty good. He hit a home run against the Twins, I think twice in the series. I'm like, okay, this is late in his career for him to be,
Well,
doing
I
his
had a
own-
guy pull a rookie refractor out of one of my boxes of Jesse Winker. He said he was doing well, and I never did look that up.
Oh, the Reds. Yeah, he's playing good.
Is he old, or I'm trying to figure out why he was in that box. I don't put rookies in there.
No,
see.
he's 3 years in, I think, or 4.
There you go, Jesse Winker. I'm literally we're doing it live.
27.
He's 27. Yeah, he shouldn't have been in the box. So that was just an accident I had. But wow, he hit 359 with 6 home runs.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. This is a question for Evan. Evan, are you seeing in the Facebook groups, because I'm not privy in like the sports cards Facebook groups, are things slowing down? Like the amount of activity of people just buying
People
and selling?
posting,
Or is
or
it
are
staying
people
the same?
just selling and nobody's buying?
It seems to be about the same.
About the same. Okay.
Okay.
Because I know that's a good
I
litmus
don't
test.
see a lot of people selling wax anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Like retail.
Yeah.
Retail's tough to find, and people are only getting one.
Big, yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you can't. It's the
So
one
I'm
per
seeing a lot
person.
more Singles.
Yep,
People actually
singles.
Opening what they
Yeah.
get instead of selling.
And selling the
So
same.
people are. So everyone's saying you think people are selling less wax, but then people are probably just opening what they get
It's like, okay, I got this blaster for 20. I could sell it for 70, or I could open it
because it's one
and,
box.
and hopefully sell it for 70 still.
But if I have
Yeah,
40
yeah.
boxes, that's a day. That's a whole day.
Now, I will
where
say
can make
this
money.
much. I am a little bit concerned that Select is now retail, and how much of it we're seeing.
Yeah. Now,
Like,
let me
meaning-
ask you,
not
though,
meaning that-
again,
yeah,
let me
yeah.
ask you, how much hobby did you get?
Um,
Did you get a lot of hobby and a lot of retail, or
nope,
did you
we
get
got
very little hobby?
Very little hobby.
Yeah,
I think
so-
a lot- yeah.
The excess in retail might be related to the reduction of hobby. Yeah.
Hopefully they did that. That is a good point. I didn't think about the
Well,
fact that they
we talked
yeah.
about that with premium stuff.
They may have took their whole print run and then just cut it.
Yeah.
It
Well,
just said, you
we
know.
talked about that with premium stock, and I was like, well, people are like, oh, premium stock's not that big a deal. I'm like, I love premium stock.
Mm-hmm.
One, I just like the product. I think it looks great. I
Yep.
think it's the closest thing to top we got. But I'm like, look, there's almost no hobby in the market.
Right.
So there's that, right? And that hobby has its own color, has its
Yeah.
own flash,
Yep.
flash design. Even the base cards are flash, right? So there are no base cards in hobby. That's first. There's no base cards. Every card in hobby is a flash card.
Or a silver.
Or so, but it's not
Or
a
it's
base
co-
card.
yes,
There's no
okay.
regular
Yep.
base card.
Yep.
So you can only get a base card out of retail.
You know how alarms work?
What
That's
happens?
very
What are
interesting.
you? What's going on?
I had jokingly said an alarm for you,
Oh,
and it actually
funny.
went off.
Yeah, we had a whole thing. So what happens is you show on social media, like, I
Yep.
got 2 blaster cases, and it's this huge case of cards. There are almost no cards in that case.
Right.
There's almost no actual cards, because 20 box times 32 is 640
40.
cards in a box that measures 2 by 3 feet by 6 inches.
Right.
And people are like, oh, look at all these cards. There's no cards.
Yeah.
There are no cards in there, And so it's
Well,
kind
there's
of
not
like,
no cards. There's
but you get
just,
what I'm saying? There's very few based on the size. Like, you could fit 632 cards, 640 cards in, like, 3 blasters.
let's say this: if that was a top Series 1 hobby case,
Yeah.
you'd have what 8 times more cards, like total
Ooh,
cards.
More than that.
Because what's a hobby box of tops like
Like
200
300 cards.
300 by 12? So you're
By
talking
12.
3,000. Like you're talking
10 times the number of
you're
cards.
talking like 10 times.
And
yeah.
so it's kind of like early in COVID, and I really believe this is what happened with the whole toilet paper debacle.
Yeah.
I finally had somebody explain it where it made a lot of sense.
They explained how to
In the
use
early
it.
days, people were at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Stuff was happening, kind of scary, whatever. There was a percentage of people who were not out of toilet paper at home, but maybe they had like 5 rolls left. And normally they wouldn't buy at 5 rolls. They'd wait till they're down to 2, or like me, half a roll, and then Annie sends me to grocery store, right? And they're like, let me just grab one. I mean, whatever. I don't really want to come back to the grocery store.
Yep.
They didn't want to be there in the first place. So then a small percentage of people just did that a little bit ahead of schedule.
Right.
But because it's so big, it will look like it was half empty. And then the second wave of people goes, they're all buying toilet paper. We got to get it. And that was the run. The first part wasn't the run. That was just people going, yeah, I don't want to come back. I'm just going to grab it. Whatever. Let's go. And so it's kind of the same thing. The size of it made it seem like it was running out. Well, it wasn't.
And to your point, it doesn't seem like the desire for wax has slowed down, because you have. No. I have stories of 50 people waiting at Target.
I still can't get any boxes.
And you don't have any retail. Like, it's not like people are walking in going, "Hey, I got Select at like the mass quantity." Like, we have. We get about 10 Select blasters a week, and they sell.
I'm seeing prices cool. I mean, Select Fat Packs came out at 100. They're at like 65. Right?
$100.
$100.
Singles for Select are pretty low.
Yeah.
I don't collect football really.
Well, the thing about singles though is, as you know, in sports cars, the highest stuff gets all the money, and then the lowest stuff doesn't get any. And that's always been the case. I mean, whether it's $100 a box, $500 a box, or $1,000 a box, it's the cream that gets all the attention.
Yeah, Flawless is coming out this week, or I think it gets pushed to next week, and that's crazy, because that's like, that will be, talk about, we have people come in all the time that are like, well, how many cards do I get? And it's like this idea that like if the more I pay, I should get more
cards you get.
I should get more cards. They think,
or
they
the way
I go, no, that's not the way it works. Flawless is coming out next week with 10 cards per box at $7,500 a box.
Jeez. Well, no, I mean that's absolutely true. If you want to get the most cards, you buy Big League.
Yep.
The cheapest product.
Yep. And you also get the lowest resale value, and if you go, you can't. There might not even be a card over $1, but you get a bunch of cards.
No, it'd be dollar stuff, but probably maybe not anything over $5.
Yeah, nothing over $5 probably.
And so the nature of cards.
Yeah.
You're like, how many cards? Oh, I've had that plenty of time. How many cards do you get in that? Like,
you're like, no, this is not the correlation.
Crown Royale, which is actually kind of budget at 120 because it's 2013. It's not a great draft.
Yep.
Like, how many cards do you get? I'm like, I don't know, 10.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Wait, what? Yeah, but that.
Well, people. I've noticed that people that are getting back into the hobby are used to the junk wax era, where it's a quantity thing.
36 packs, 10 cards a pack.
They're like, what? There's 4 cards in this?
No, but when you do explain it to people, they go, oh, it's like, yeah, every card's numbered, every card's an autograph. Yep. You're gonna get a patch auto to 10.
Yep.
One of those cards is gonna be something like that.
So,
the one-on-ones getting a one-on-one out of Flawless is actually not that rare.
Right, because there's so few cases.
Yeah, because it's like you get a case. There's a one-on-one in the 4-box. I don't know.
No, I think almost every Flawless case has a one-on-one.
Yeah, so they tell you like out of 4 boxes, you're getting a one-on-one.
And nothing in Flawless is numbered over 25.
Oh wow.
25 is numbered to 25 is the highest. Think about that.
Wow.
So
that's right, because Flawless is higher than NT.
Yep, it's highest.
Yeah.
So Flawless is the one where 3 of the cards will have diamonds, emeralds, and rubies.
Yeah.
And then we actually, believe it or not, for our Christmas party, we opened a case of ours for the shop. We opened a case of Flawless collegiate football. The guys wanted to watch us rip it. Mike and I are like, all right, we'll rip it. Now the box has gone up in value, but we pulled a Burrow 101.
Yeah.
And we got our value back at least, or if not more.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, if out of 4 boxes I get a 101, that's telling me.
Yeah.
That's a really high-end product.
Really high-end, yeah.
You're not getting the value of a pack of Tops out of any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know? I hit a Topps Gold out of 2000.
Well, so next week we'll probably record before we go maybe, and then we'll have to give an update.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to do some live stuff
I want to talk
there.
about live on air.
Live on air. In studio.
In studio. This is a studio. I mean, it has all the makings of a studio. It's a defined space where we record. So what do we want to do at the Dells? I would like to maybe do the laptop and grab my webcam.
Sure.
and just go live on YouTube? What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's give some
So,
updates.
one of the nights?
I think at one of the nights we give a recap on just
Just say how the show is
what's
going.
selling, who's
Yeah.
what's any trades, any acquisition,
Absolutely. So we'll try and do that. Sometimes that plan is a little. It might be like a little advanced of the national. Where we can do it one night and go, okay, these are the problems.
If anybody listens to this and you're coming to the Dells, stop and see John.
Oh,
and I.
yeah,
We're going to be set
definitely.
up in different spots.
Also, should we do some sort of marketing to promote the podcast at our tables at the Dells? A giveaway of some sort or
Yes.
something. So we'll
Yes,
talk
we will
about
think
that
about
off air and maybe do
Yes.
maybe like if you comment on one of the videos, you get put in for, come in, show us, write down the name that you commented with and for drawing for something cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, I think we're wrapped up. You got anything?
Should be fun. No, that was good.
All right,
Covered
thank
it
you
all.
so much for listening.
Subscribe, hit that like button, and share. Thanks.
Absolutely.